What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. If you're new here, hey, I'm Lauren. It's great to meet you. Today's video, if you couldn't tell from the title and the thumbnail, is going to be another storytime video. You guys seem to really enjoy the last storytime video I did, which I'll have linked down below if you guys haven't seen it. So I figured, why not do another one? Now, I personally don't think I'm great at telling stories, but as I said, you guys seem to really enjoy it. So if you do enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and let me know down below in the comments so that I know to do more of these videos if you do enjoy them. So today's story is going to be about the time I got arrested. Now, before I do any more storytime videos, I do want to throw out there that I'm never going to do like clickbait titles or like misleading titles or anything like that. If the title says I got arrested, I got arrested. So I just want to throw that out there. I hate when people like have misleading titles and then like it's like, oh, I got arrested, and then you watch the whole video and then it's just like, oh, well, I mean, I didn't really get arrested. I mean, if there were cops there, I could have got arrested because what I was doing, you could get arrested for, but there was no cops there. So yeah, you know, like I hate those types of videos. Sorry if you did one of those videos, but I hate it because I watch it the whole time and then it's like, oh, well, I clicked this title for a reason and then it's not there. So with that being said, I did actually get arrested, and here's the story. Also, I do want to say that I do not condone any of the activities that I talk about in this video. Clearly, as you will see, by partaking in these activities, it did not end up very well for me, so just keep that in mind. So this whole story takes place around a concert that I attended back when I lived in Massachusetts, and more specifically, it is a country concert called Country Fest. I don't know if it's called the same thing everywhere, but basically it's Kenny Chesney's tour, and he's like the headlining act, and there's a bunch of other country artists that are the opening acts, but it's kind of just like a big like country fest. Like it's just a big bunch of country singers, and Kenny Chesney is the like main act, but like not really. So yeah, anyway, it was a country concert. So I attended this concert at Gillette Stadium because, as I said, this does take place back when I lived in Massachusetts. So I'm pretty sure, just like any other stadium, people attend the events but go beforehand and kind of like hang out with all their friends, tailgate, do that sort of stuff. And if you're over 21, you are able to drink in the parking lots. So I was not over 21, obviously, as I said at the beginning of this video, so I was not able to drink. So I went with my friend Catherine, Brittany, and Brittany's boyfriend Alex, and Alex was over 21 at the time, so Alex did have alcohol in the car, which will come into play later in this story. But we did go to the concert a little bit early, but we parked in a separate lot than most people, or like the public lot, because we somehow knew someone that worked there. So we were able to park in like a different lot. So the second we pulled into the parking spot, we were like fixing like our bags or whatever, because you can only bring small purses into the venue. So I was like changing out from my big purse to my little purse just to bring like my necessities, like my ID, my like everything you would need, your ticket, debit cards, those things. So I'm like changing out my purse, and I had a Red Bull. So I'm drinking a Red Bull, trying to get energized for this concert. And no, like, I'm not even exaggerating, literally like a second after parking and doing this, like some bicycle cops like roll by us, and we're like, oh, they're just patrolling, like making sure no one's like drinking underage or whatever. And we weren't worried about it because we weren't drinking underage, but we get like a tap on our window and we're like, okay, what's going on? Okay. So we like roll down our window, and the bicycle cops are like, oh, can you get out of the car? And we were like, yeah, sure. So we get out of the car, and we're just thinking like, oh, maybe they don't want people hanging out in the cars because they can't see what you're doing. And we're like, okay, whatever, we're not doing anything wrong, let's just get out of the car. So we get out of the car, and then they're like, so what are you guys doing in there? And we were like, nothing, just getting ready to go into the concert. We're just changing out our bags. And they're like, oh, is there anything in the car that's not supposed to be? And we were like, no. And they were like, what's that in the front seat? And then we were like, oh, that's his or whatever. And Alex was like, yeah, that's mine. And they were like, oh yeah, let's see some ID. And so he showed like his ID, and then they asked for all of our IDs, and we were like, but that's not ours. Like, and they were like, yeah, well, we want to see your IDs. So we gave them our IDs, and they're like, so you guys aren't over 21? And we were like, no, but that's not ours. Like, it's unopened, it's his. Like, I don't get what you're saying. And I had, as I said, a Red Bull in my hand, and they're like, oh, so there's nothing mixed in that Red Bull? And I was like, no, you can smell it if you want, but I mean, a Red Bull kind of smells like vodka anyway, so I don't know what that's gonna prove. And so he like smelled it or whatever, and he's like, so you don't care if I dump this out right now? And I was like, go for it, I'll go buy another Red Bull, I don't care. So he dumps it out, like thinking like, oh, I dumped out your Red Bull vodka, but he dumped out a Red Bull, like, cool. So then, like, we proceed to talk to them for a little bit, and then somehow we find ourselves in we've got Pea Seed. So Pea Seed, I don't really know what it stands for. I think it's public custody or something like that, but basically it happens when you are too intoxicated in public. They take you into police custody, or maybe that's what it means, PC, police custody? I don't know. But they take you into police custody, and they keep you there until you are no longer intoxicated and you're not like a threat to the public, basically. So we all found ourselves Pea Seed, but we weren't drunk, we weren't intoxicated. So I'm not really sure how that happened, first of all. But we didn't get breathalyzed, which normally you get breathalyzed if you're getting Pea Seed to prove that you are too intoxicated to be in the public. But I digress. Anyway, so we find ourselves getting Pea Seed, and we're like thinking these cops are joking because they're like bicycle cops or whatever, and like, I know bicycle cops can be the same as normal cops, but they were on bikes, so I didn't get like how we were getting like Pea Seed or whatever. But out of nowhere, a paddy wagon comes up, and they're telling us to get in this paddy wagon. And I was like so confused as to what was, like, it all happened so fast, and we were like, what the heck is going on? So they're ushering us into this paddy wagon. We're told to leave all of our valuables and like our purses and everything in the trunk of the car. We're not gonna need any money. We're not getting arrested, so we don't need to get bailed out. We don't need money to bail ourselves out or anything like that. So they tell us to leave everything in the car and not to bring it with us. So we do that, and so now we have no money. We just have our IDs on us, and that's literally pretty much it, in our phones. My friend Catherine, her dad worked as a cop somewhere else, so she texted him right away because she was like, something's going wrong, like, I don't know what, like, she was like basically telling him what was happening, and she was trying to see if he could like somehow figure out what was happening, like, because we couldn't figure it out ourselves. So anyway, we get into this paddy wagon, and then we see, like, we're on one side and there's a divider, and then Alex is on the other because like boys and girls have to be on separate sides apparently. So we see that Alex is in like these fake little plastic handcuffs, and we're like, what the heck is happening? Why is he handcuffed? We gave them all our IDs, and my ID, let me tell you, looked like a fake ID. I wasn't 21, so it didn't say I was 21, like, but it looked like a fake ID because my license picture was taken when I had dark brown hair, I was pale as a ghost, and I had braces. So I literally looked nothing like that. I will insert a picture of, like, if I can find one, of what I looked like at Country Fest, and then like if I can find one of what I looked like during when I got my license picture. If I can find them, I will insert them here. But I literally like looked nothing like the same, like my two pictures. So when they get to like looking at my ID, they're like, so who's Lauren? And I was like, that's me. And they started dying laughing. They're like, this isn't you. And I was like, that's 100% me. Why would I have a fake ID that's under 20? Like, that didn't make sense to me as to why they would even try to say that. But they like start joking around, and they're like, oh, she looks exactly like Isabel. Oh, doesn't she look like Isabel? Like, all talking to each other. So I'm thinking the whole time, like, this is a whole like joke. Like, this isn't any big deal. They're not like acting like we're in big trouble or anything. So we get in this paddy wagon, and they drive us around. We can't really tell where we're going. And then all of a sudden we like stop, and then we get out of the paddy wagon, and we're underneath Gillette Stadium, and there's like a bunch of like gates set up and like with tarps and stuff, and then we're told to place all of our valuables inside these paper bags and then go into the gates. So we're sitting inside these what we call drunk tanks. The girls are on one and the guys are in the other. So Alex is all by himself in one drunk tank, and all of us girls are in another. Now we're actually in a tank or a gated thing with a bunch of drunk people. So these people are puking, they're like falling all over the place, and then there's us, who literally hadn't had a sip of anything. And there was this older lady sitting next to us who was like a mom, I would say, like a mom's age, and she kept saying like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed that I'm here, like, I shouldn't be here, you guys are like my daughter's age, this is so embarrassing. And then we got to telling her our story as to how we ended up here. And she's like, that's ridiculous. They should have gave you a breathalyzer. You guys should request one. So I was like, oh, okay, let me go request a breathalyzer if that's gonna clear this all up. So I tried calling like the cops over several times. They won't, like, they keep like thinking I'm a drunk girl and like just brushing me off. And I'm like, no, like, so finally I got someone over, and I asked them for a breathalyzer. And they were like, you want a breathalyzer? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, you didn't already get one? And I was like, no, I want one now, like, I shouldn't be in here. And they were like, oh, okay, we'll get you one, and then walked away. So 10-15 minutes go by, nothing's happened, so I try getting up again, try to get someone's attention. They don't come over to me. So finally, like, so much time has passed, and I have to go to the bathroom. So I call someone over, I ask to go to the bathroom. They let me go to the bathroom, and they have to, like, wait for me. And as I'm getting out of the bathroom, I'm like, can I please have my breathalyzer now? And they were like, you haven't gotten a breathalyzer? And I was like, no, I want a breathalyzer. I don't know why I'm here. And they're like, oh, okay, we'll send someone to do that. So I go back in the little drunk tank. No one comes to get us. So then, one by one, we're all called out. So I'm thinking, oh, we're finally getting, like, breathalyzed. So then we all get, like, put, like, in these seats and handcuffed to a fence, and there's someone sitting on, like, the other side, like, over a desk. And meanwhile, like, this is all happening underneath Gillette Stadium, so, like, it doesn't feel like anything bad is really happening, but, like, obviously, like, we're in, like, there's police everywhere, so, like, we are in trouble. But so we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, like, these guys come up to us, well, cops, obviously, and they start reading us our rights. They're like, have you ever been read your memorandum, whatever it's called, rights? And I was like, no. And they're like, well, blah, 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 and they start reading them off. And I was like, wait, why am I being read my rights? And they're like, oh, you're under arrest. And I was like, excuse me? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, no, I was PC'd. And they're like, no, you're under arrest, ma'am. And I was like, for what? And they're like, we'll tell you in a little bit. And I was like, no, you'll tell me now. And they were like, you'll get a paper, you'll get a whole paper, like, on as to what's happening and what the next steps are as to, like, how to get this, like, where to go to court and, like, how to get this off your record and, like, all this stuff. And I was like, tell me what I'm being arrested for. And they were like, public intoxication. And I was like, I'm not drunk. I've asked for a breathalyzer 3 times and I haven't been given one. And they were like, oh, okay, miss. And just threw me back in the drunk tank. Literally would not give me a breathalyzer because they knew they messed up because I did nothing wrong. So then we're sitting in this drunk tank again, like, a little time goes by, and then I see them grab our, like, personal belonging bags, and originally it said PC on it, and they crossed it out and wrote, like, arrested. And I, like, pointed it out to my friends, and I was like, we're literally arrested right now. And so then we sat there for hours and hours and hours until finally it's, like, pitch black out, like, it's nighttime. We're listening to some of the concert from underneath the stadium. We never even got to go in. Finally, another, like, paddy wagon comes to bring us to the actual police station in Foxborough. So we get carted all the way there, and meanwhile, like, we still don't really know why we're arrested. We haven't been given breathalyzers or anything. We get, like, brought in to the police station, and then we're all sitting together waiting for a cop to come give us our belongings so that we can make a phone call. So a cop comes, and we have a bag, we have our, like, a paper stapled to our bag, and it says what we're arrested for finally, and like, it says public intoxication and being in the possession of alcohol. So when the cop gives me my bag and tells me to make my phone call, I'm like, can you please explain to me why I'm arrested? And they were like, oh, because you were publicly intoxicated and in possession of alcohol, as it says on this paper. And I was like, so when I asked for a breathalyzer 4 times and I wasn't given one, you just decided I was publicly intoxicated? And they were like, what? And I was like, I was never given a breathalyzer. And they were like, well, you're still in possession of alcohol. And I was like, I wasn't. He had it in the front seat. He's 21. And it was unopened. And they're like, you still can't be in the car if there's alcohol in the car. And I was like, so if I'm with my mom and she has alcohol in the car, she has to leave me on the side of the road? I didn't actually say this part because that would be very rude to say to a cop, but I was thinking in my head, I was like, so if I was in the car with my mom and she had alcohol, she has to leave me on the side of the road, go drive the alcohol home, come pick me back up, and then bring me home? No, that doesn't make sense. No one was drinking the alcohol, so why is this a problem? And so I make my phone call, and I decided to call my boyfriend at the time, who is now my ex-boyfriend. I decided to call him, and he was gonna come bail us all out, so we didn't have to call anyone's parents, because we were like, this is stupid, like, we're not calling our parents because we're not really arrested, like, whatever. So my boyfriend at the time decided he would come get us, but meanwhile, Catherine's dad, who she called way back at the beginning of this story, had already reached out to some of the other parents, who then reached out to my parents, and yeah. So everyone had already found out. So when my boyfriend came to pick us up, my friend Brittany's mom was already there. Brittany's mom told him to leave because my mom was already coming. So Brittany and Catherine and Alex all got bailed out, and Lauren was left in the cell by herself. So we actually got put in a jail cell and we were arrested. So we actually all got to be in one jail cell together because they didn't have enough jail cells for everybody. So we were all just like freaking out. But then everyone else got to leave and Lauren had to stay for an extra 20-30 minutes with a bunch of drunk people in this cell. And let me tell you, I saw some strange characters in this cell. There's one lady who definitely should not have been dressing like this, in a bikini top, in short shorts, with a boot on her leg because she had broken her foot at some point, and she was like an older lady that should not have been dressing like this. There was like a mom who was just crying uncontrollably because she couldn't believe she acted like this in public. There was like another lady that was just like crazy in the corner. Like, I was with some strange people, and then I was completely sober, and so I was just not enjoying this experience. So then my mom comes finally, bails me out. I show her my bag and I'm trying to explain the story, but she just thinks like I'm drunk and like that, like I did something wrong, and she's like screaming at me and yelling and be like, why'd you do this, like whatever. And I'm like showing her my bag and I'm like, it said I was Pea Seed. I asked for a breathalyzer like 5 times, then they changed it to arrested and for this and this and this. So then I told her, I was like, bring me to get a breathalyzer then. If you don't believe me right now, like, if I was really that drunk, I would still probably have something in my system, right? Like, I would blow something, like, on the little breathalyzer. And so we drove around to try to find, like, a CVS or a Walgreens or something that had one, but none of them had them. So she ended up just believing me, since I, like, went through all that trouble to just say, like, drive around and find a place. She ended up believing me, I think, at least. She said she did. But what ended up happening was we had to go to court, and since it was like a whole country concert thing, like we all went to court on the same day, like a bunch of people, and you basically had to just agree to do community service and like go to these like special drunk classes and like all these like different classes to basically teach you about drinking and the effects of alcohol and the effects of like other drugs and stuff like that. However, I did not want to take that deal because I was so wrongfully arrested. Like, I was literally arrested for no reason. They just picked our car, and like, yes, okay, we had alcohol in the car, but there should have been no reason for them to search the car. There should have been like no reason for any of that. And when I asked for a breathalyzer the first time, I should have received a breathalyzer, and then I should have been sent on my merry way because I was Pea Seed. I was not arrested when I was originally brought in, and like the way they went about it was so wrong. So I just felt like morally, like I shouldn't let them get away with that, because like that just sucked. It was a horrible experience. So after talking to like some of my mom talked to some of her friends that like were either like lawyers or like whatever, and they all said like if she does go to court, she will probably win, but it will be on her record for like being arrested at some point. Even though it was like she won, it would still be on her record. So it ended up that I just did the community service and went to the drunk classes, and that was that. So it's no longer on my record, but I did wrongfully get arrested. I did get arrested. I sat in a cell for a little while, sat in a drunk tank for a whole long time, and yeah, I do not like bicycle cops. I was arrested by bicycle cops. I can say that, guys. I was arrested by bicycle cops. So I hope you guys found this video somewhat entertaining. I don't know if it was entertaining. Like, I know the story personally, so I think it's hilarious, but I don't know if I told it completely well enough. So if you guys did enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you have any weird stories like this one, let me know down below. I'd love to read some of your stories. Also, be sure to follow me on all my social media accounts if you want to keep up to date with me. I have Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. But yeah, that is about it for this video. I will see you on my next one. Bye, guys!